Alright, welcome back everyone to our final game of the LJL Super Week. I have been your host, Dr. No, and I will be to the bitter end. But for right now, we're closing out our Super Week, closing out Week 6. With our game of CGA versus AXZ Gaming, hot off of just... The back-to-back of the two games are astounding, where the series of Rascal Jester versus CGA was such a surprise of Rascal Jester playing very well, and running up against CGA where there was just all of these points where so close. Art played out of his mind in that game and brought just so much. There was so much to digest in that game, and then AXZ and TFM have one of the just most molding inducing games of the LJL proper. All of that being said, it's going to be closing out here today with CGA versus AXZ. And after 15 games of solo casting and one more to round it out, I appreciate you all sticking with me while we go for CGA versus AXZ Gaming. This game is a little bit of a formality for AXZ Gaming, as with their most recent loss, their playoff chances are going to be unfortunately shut out, and especially against a team like CGA. Not to speak down upon AXZ in any way, but this wasn't a game that you would expect them to be coming out on top of anyway. A close series with DFM like that, well, I barely even want to call it close. They had a scramble at the end that they almost came out of, but didn't end up being able to net enough value there. Now, CGA looking to close out this one, and I kind of hope that AXZ are willing to just kind of have some fun with this one, as unfortunately your playoff spots may be gone, but I suppose there is also a bit to the competitive spirit of playing against CGA and possibly looking for a chance there to just maybe make a name for yourself, prove that you can. You did get one win against Sengoku. You prevented the 10-0 record for Sengoku, but unfortunately going 1-10 might not be a whole lot better. As Corporal on the screen here, I feel as though AXZ, I feel like Corporal has really kind of struggled to be on the same page as the rest of his team. There is, of course, a slight language barrier there, as I do believe Corporal is French, but he's been playing on the team for a little while now. AXZ did also undergo a coach swap between the spring and summer split. But that being said, they will be on the blue side for this last game here today, and closing out this series with us. AXZ is going to be starting things off with an Orn ban. CGA will unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but CGA will be still taking this one relatively serious. They have their record to uphold, and realistically, they're the only team that could take the first place spot from V3 Esports in terms of which seed they're going to get. And this win will definitely be one of the stepping stones on the way to do that. CGA actually going to ban away the bear. Why? Although the LJL seems to be thoroughly convinced that the bear is rather strong, so banning it away, I suppose, is a decent enough option. I'm curious to see if CGA will let Set go through. In the wake of that, is AXZ is going to be taking Silas away from Arya there. While the side of CGA banning away Ashe, in the end they will let Set go through. And I'm going to question Ping CGA a little bit. I do apologize, I'm very tired after 16 games of this. And after 16 back-to-back games of watching this bear lose, but that all aside, X is going to take up the set that they left open, which will mean that CGA has their picks lined up. They can draft an AD carry here if they want to go for something like the Ezreal, but locking in Renekton and Graves right off the bat here. CGA possibly looking for a little bit of an early focus comp here, as it isn't too unpopular for the LJL to kind of abandon the top lane to not work too cohesively with the rest of the unit, but Nap really wanting to play that. Renekton says, go ahead and lock that one in on an R1. I'm willing. I want to play it. And AXZ is a couple picks, but they are going to lock in the Varus here. And now they're in an interesting position where typically you would want to see a Zoe and you go for a poke style comp and have the set to fall back on as a reliable source of lockup and deterrent from hard engage, but LeBlanc is still open, and Arya is going to be very happy to play that if they pick the Zoe into them. So Bard looking like the choice that AXZ are going to take here. You know what? I respect it. Let's go, Unyan, as he locks himself in. The Quinn for the top lane is actually a very good matchup into Renekton, as you can kick away his advance. If you kick out of the slice and dice, it does offer a lot of trade damage over, as well as just being an annoying champion to have to play in for Renekton. As CGA are going to lock in the Callista as well. They're ready for an early focused game, but not having LeBlanc in here is actually CGA is going to be the ones to ban it away. It is a little bit interesting, as they definitely had first pick on it if they wanted it, but maybe Arya is looking for a little bit of a different pick in that department. There is still a couple of options still on the table for AXZ in terms of defensive picks, if they want to give Garaidu over something like a Nazir. But the question is, what are you banning away from CG? I'm sorry, are we trading bans now? Is that what we're doing? As both teams just banned away picks that would work with their comps. I'm not 100% sure what's going on in that department, but Bard as well is going to be taken off the table for AXZ, as they were hovering that one. CGA not going to let them get away with it just yet, as AXZ likely, I would like to see a Thresh ban. And I didn't see CGA ban away Thresh, so maybe we're back to normal, but Cassiopeia? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what these bans are from AXZ Gaming, although I guess they are supposed to be having a little bit of fun with it at the tail end of this split. Not going to opt for the Thresh, going in on the Nautilus instead, as AXZ will likely be picking up the Thresh for themselves in the bot lane. I do kind of like the Nautilus from CGA here, especially against a fast champion like Quinn. It's very hard to land a hook onto her sometimes, so just having the ease of access of, I am going to press my depth charge on you and we're going to work from there. It's not a bad look for CGA here, but what will AXZ mid lane be? Twisted Fate did make it through the ban phase and does actually synergize fairly well with Quinn, who can roam very heavily. But what will CGA's response be? Looking at Zoe, which doesn't work very well with the rest of the comp, as it's not... I don't know how much it will end up mattering in this game, but the strength of Zoe is going to shine through for the hearts of CGA, as AXZ have a decent kind of catch comp between their mid and top lane. They can rotate around the map very quickly. They can be in multiple places at once and have a decent setup for their comp, while the set can kind of peel away the Renekton or the Graves trying to go too deep. They don't have a great answer for Zoe, but aside from just Zoe's damage, there isn't a lot on the side of CGA that supports her damage profile. If we were to remove the nameplates from this game and we were just to look strictly at the draft, I kind of like what AXZ are going for with this kind of a comp. Very mobile, gets across the map very well, but also looking at, I mean, when you do reattach the nameplates, I really have to give this one to CGA. As it's just gonna be a bit of weathering the early storms, and with the way that AXZ's dive went in the last game, I don't exactly have the most faith in them to be able to execute on that. Although maybe with the right comp, they're going to be able to pull this one off. And we'll have to see. The first time Quinn shows up in the pro play stage, I do kind of like the innovation, and you understand where it's coming from. The question will just become, will it work against a team like CGA? And we'll take a final look at the stat screens here for this week. AXZ not doing the worst. I think Rascal Jester still holds 8th place securely on all of those charts, but AXZ, while this game is a formality, hopefully AXZ will be able to give us a little bit of action to close out this one on. Although CGA, with most of their picks, are looking to put an early end to this one, trying to send this game home and close out tonight, with hopefully one more CGA win to help sort of pad their stats going forward here. I do appreciate, though, for the side of AXZ, is that even being at the point they're at in the split, I like that AXZ never stopped. They were always willing to at least play the comps they thought were effective. They weren't, you know, stubbornly locking in a comp that wasn't working. They were sort of always trying to find their way through the meta, but I just think AXZ really had some disconnects with how to set up the correct damage profiles in a lot of their games, and it unfortunately just didn't seem to come together for them, even in their game against DFM. It almost felt like AXZ had some good ideas in isolation, but they just weren't able to either get the draft the way they wanted it to, or they were a little bit too subject to disconnect of what needed to be picked at any given point. So we'll see how things go for AXZ in this game, and hopefully they'll be able to. It would be awesome for AXZ to close it out with a win, but even if they were to win their remaining games, there unfortunately is just not a chance for them to be making playoffs like we mentioned before. So CGA, maybe CGA will be nice and they'll hand over a win over to AXZ to help them sort of cope with the loss there. That all being said, I definitely believe that AXZ have some things that they can be researching and working on across the off season here while they wait for playoffs to conclude. I don't think it was any particular member of AXZ that was really causing them issues. There's been some disconnects and they haven't all been playing to peak performance, but I think most notably is the coaching swap really hurt AXZ.
LJL 2020サマースプリットウィーク6ゲーム8クレストゲーミングアクト vs アクシズスタートです。
Alright, and as we'll get things started along here for the final game of today, we're seeing a fairly familiar set of runes. Interestingly, Arya is going for the summon Aerie. Will add a little bit of potency to her poke damage, and realistically, with the way that CGA's comp is kind of set up, she doesn't expect to be landing more than one really long-range paddle star, if that. So adding a little bit of potency to with Aerie, also just giving you a tool that will add a little bit of poke to your auto trades when you're going auto for auto with Garaidu. Adds, I like the Aerie pick. I understand where it's coming from. Oh, you're joking. Okay, nobody go anywhere. We're gonna refresh the stream real quick. I have a little bit of a network error. I'm hoping that wasn't on. That would be tragic if that was on the LJL side of things. But I am getting an ad here. What an unfortunate time for a... What an unfortunate time to get an ad or a moment there, but... Hey everyone, please remember. Wear your masks. I'm gonna play this one for all of you, because a lot of you in the US here with me really need to be working on that, but... That'll be held here as Grendel's gonna be going for a level 2 play, flashing to try to get an auto onto day 1, gets stunted up a little bit as CGA is looking for a bit of advance. There goes the Dredge line. Will they be able to pull the Ren to get all the damage that they need to onto Corporal? Ooh, flashes out of the way of the auto Q. And it's gonna be Corporal living out on that one. And a good level 2 play coming out from CGA there. As I am catching up a little bit, it does look like both junglers opted to full clear the side they started on, which will leave them on opposite ends of the map for now. But right now, CGA can kind of take an early recall with relative security. Grendel's looking for an opportunity up onto the mid lane, and Unica should be finishing up that camp in time to assist on that. Garairu smelling a little bit of blood in the waters, walking away there. Knows something is wrong for this to be a play option. The Hex Flash is going to get him into engage range. Will Garairu have to flash is the real question. Will be forced to in the very end, as no ignite or anything to worry about there. We'll just flash to safety and be forced to use his teleport, getting back to lane there. And a good early look for Grendel to be out onto this map and active. The level 2 roams from the Nautilus. Gonna be burning multiple summoners across mid and bot lane. While Nap is gonna be trying to weather the storm of this top lane. I'd expect Unyan to get a little bit of a CS lead, but Nap has opportunity. I don't think his dash is reset quite yet, but he has flash available. Unica might just solo him down. Ooh, flashes away a little bit too little too late. Cleanse does not come in time, and that's going to be Unica picking up that kill in the top lane. First blood over to the CGA jungler, and now there's only 2 flashes left at 4 minutes in for the members of AXZ Gaming. As this is exactly what CGA loves to do best. They are just going to be all over the map. They are going to be active early, and they're going to try and take this fight to AXZ as quickly as possible. Now, CGA with a Cloud Drake first up on the menu. They should be able to grab that one with relative security once Unica is back on that side of the map. He will be taking a reset here, while CGA going to be getting a bit of deep vision here, hitting over that ward. You can see some pings coming out from the side of AXZ. Garairu is going to need a little bit of help in that mid lane in case they look for a dive, but the Drake is going to be their prize. As Hoglet is doing a decent job in keeping pace in the terms of the farm he is getting, and he is going to not be contesting this Cloud Drake because he's going to move over to try and contest onto that Drake, and when CGA see that, will likely mean a free Drake for themselves, and Arya might be in a little bit of a worse for her position. They did know Hoglet was there, so shouldn't be in too much trouble from that gank, but Hoglet is immediately running down. He did not actually stop to do the chickens. He says, I'll happily look at Unica and go for a little bit of a smite fight with him, but with the priority of CGA's bot lane is going to be forced to back away. First Drake going down to CGA here. With a nice little friendly crab respawn, that should be enough that Unica should be able to farm over to this Rift Herald, hit level 6, and be in position to take that one. Now, AXZ Gaming The nice thing is that if CGA start rotating members over for this Rift Herald, they can kind of show up on multiple ends of this fight and try to pick it apart at its seams. But if they don't, AXZ has very fast rotation speed to hopefully try and punish members of CGA that push up a little bit too far for turrets. So we'll see how they end up playing things out. Well, right now, it's going to be Hoglet looking for a little bit of a lane gank here. The Lantern's going to pull him in. Grendel might get dunked backwards. That's going to be a dead Nautilus. And that's going to be a pretty free kill for the members of AXZ Gaming there. While Unica's going to take that time to secure vision around the Baron, or the, the Herald's Pit. Does not belong to the Mr. Nasher today, as Hoglet's just gonna find an Eon to Gango, wanders a little bit too far forward. He might just be able to knock him down with a haymaker. Gango just kind of randomly went too deep there, and the kick from Union is gonna be able to deter Nap from going any further. But that was just kind of random, as Grendel is now just going to die as well, alone in this lane. Burns his flash in futility. CGA's bot lane is just kind of throwing, as one by one they just... We've seen Set before, right? Like, we know what this champion does. As just one after the other, the members of CGA fall. They'll be able to trade over for a Rift Herald, but they lost about 1,000 gold in the process. And Rift Heralds don't usually pay dividends in that large of an amount, and now Hoglet and Day One are both decently ahead in gold, leading the pack here with first and second gold across their team. I don't even really know what to say in that department. That was just... CGA may be as tired as I am at the end of all of these games, and it's understandably so, but that was just it was just an awful showing. There's no other way to put that. But AXZ for now, we're still looking for opportunities. Gonna pull in Arya. The dunk is gonna be good. Will Arya be able to get out of that one? The cleanse for a little extra move speed from the Nimbus cloak is gonna be all that's needed. Didn't cleanse away the Set ultimate, which didn't end up mattering in the end, but meanwhile on the top side of things, Nap is just frustratedly going to be trying to dash in at Unya, and you can see how hard this matchup is. But perhaps a jungle gank from Unica will make that a little bit easier. He's waiting just outside of vision here. The aggression is going to be on here. Nap's going to get kicked away, but he has a second slice and dice. No stun available, unless he's going to be able to get in range here. There goes the stun. Ultimate popped. That's going to be Garaidu coming in, but he has no mana. Garaidu just teleported right in the face of Nap as he's going to dash forward. The Eviscerate there is going to knock him down. Dominus should be giving him enough fury to hopefully slice and dice away one more time. Nap is going very low. Gets pulled back by Hoglet. Will he be able to finish off Unica, who should have a decent amount of armor from the multiple stacks of grit that he had? Hoglet took a turret shot there, but not gonna go down in the end. As Hoglet picked up a couple kills in the bot lane, he's a little bit tankier than you might otherwise expect from a Set at this point in the game, and I don't know if Garaidu just did not check tabs on his mana, or just possibly thought that Set was a little bit closer, but after this play, Nap doesn't quite get the stun off, and then has it immediately for when Garaidu is just in the face of two members. Hoglet runs up here and tries to make the most of this play, and is able to knock down Nap in the end after flashing alongside the W. And that's going to be AXZ just overall, I believe, a 1-for-1 after Garaidu kind of teleports in a little bit too deep there. And for now, Union in the top lane by himself is going to be just slowly accruing a CS lead. While Unica in the jungle over here is going to be starting up this Infernal Drake. Hoglet's happy to come over the wall and try to go for a smite fight with a 1-level advantage, but we'll see how that goes for him. Grendel's going to be making the call to knock him up. That's going to be the smite given over to Unica and yoinked back out by Corporal. So nothing gained, nothing lost, but CGA will gain halfway to that soul. And Ocean Soul being on the menu is always a good sight for CGAs. Corporal's going to find a Death Sentence over the wall there. Will force out Gango's ultimate to get his support to safety. A good look from Corporal to find that one, and Gango rightly gives him the respect by popping the ultimate down there. Arya's going to get dunked backwards once again. This time has Flash, but the stun card might buy him enough time as Haymaker's not going to do the most amount of damage in the world, but Arya's not going to hit him to wake him up either. You do see him pop over the wall there to put a pink ward down to make sure he's not going to be getting dove under turret here. And I gotta look at CGA in this game and refer back to their draft where they banned the bear and handed over a set willingly. Just a bit of a head scratcher every time I look at it, because Volibear is not capable of nearly the amount of plays that Hoglet has been able to get off, but CGA also just have not been playing into set, so if you can't play into it, why are you leaving this up in favor of the bear that you've already demolished in other games? This Union's just going to be annoying Nap in the top side. He does have tabbies and a little HP from Phage, so he isn't too worried. The poke isn't too difficult. The real killer is this Bilgewater Cutlass already be completed by Union, which means it's that much harder for Nap to get on top of him if he wants it. Like right there, Nap would have had to commit the second slice and dice, and luckily doesn't do that, as that'll help him dodge out on Hoglet's Hex Flash there. And Union will be taking his time to hopefully look around the map while he waits for Nap to clear up those waves in the mid lane. Good I do. Not gonna get in any trouble from that sleepy bubble. While CGA are going to be looking at this bot side of things. Here comes Set, though, so they... Realistically, they can make plays while Set is around, but I almost don't trust CGA to. But here comes Hoglet. He's going to be right in the middle of everyone. Does not have the most amount of support in the world, while Garaidu teleports to the off end of that fight. That's going to be a kick onto the support, but Gango's going to pull him to safety for now. And that's a little bit of a lot to do about nothing for both sides there, as would have been a nice shutdown to get onto Hoglet, but it's just a little bit too, you have to commit a little bit too much to knock him down right now. While CGA are just going to take that pressure up on the top side. Nap's going to get first turret in the end. A hard lane, but he fights through to find first turret and get a little bit of gold in his pocket there. While Day One's going to trade that for gold on the bottom side of the map there. CGA now have inside track to this Rift Herald and likely will be able to get this without really any contest from AXZ. But look at the vision control on this river around the Ocean Drake. That is what CGA, or what AXZ are trading this Rift Herald for. And we'll hope it's going to be the difference maker. Giving Garaidu good information to know that he has a safe teleport spot is going to be huge in this kind of a game, as well as if Union knows where members are, he can try to leverage his speed advantage with that ultimate there from Valor helping out. In terms of just the overall irony, I'm a little bit sad that SoftBank Hawks Gaming wasn't the first one to be pulling out the Quinn in the pro play, but Union is going to be doing an okay job on it so far this game. Did pick up a number of turret plates as well on the top side, but Nap's going to find a little bit of a trade in there. I'm surprised he didn't actually go for the all-in there, but doesn't want to overcommit. Union did still have cleanse and kick available, so things get very hard when both of them have flash, because Union is just going to be happy to kite that one out. This Rift Herald charge will knock down the mid lane turret, though, as CGA are going to turn their attention over to the Ocean Drake. Going to be trying to get up towards that soul, and right now it doesn't look like the vision that AXZ set up earlier is immediately being capitalized on. But you can see the info that they have on Arya on the other end of the map there. And info they have on Grendel to dodge out on that flash hook engage. Well, Arya is just going to be trying to probe in with a couple of those paddle stars. Just throwing them out and seeing what sticks. And right now it's going to be CGA getting stuck with this Ocean Drake, as I don't know if they even saw the ward that was in there. So AXZ rotating down here. Union is going to be flying in and hoping to help this one out. Will Hoglet go for the steal? He will be able to get that one and dunks a member of CGA backwards. Unica is going to be out of this fight after he eats a Q from our friendly neighborhood Twisted Fate, but Nap's a little bit deep in the middle of everyone. AXZ is unable to completely capitalize. Not going to be able to get the repeat performance of killing the Renekton with the E. Was there any reason that CGA were supposed to escape all of that with their lives? You could hear the blinking HP bars on the side of CGA, but AXZ aren't able to keep them locked up for long enough, splitting their damage just a little bit too thin. And we'll watch this one more time as the level, not a level advantage for Hoglet, but ultimately just Hoglet commanding enough space that Unica backed up so far away. He gets pulled in, and then it's just forced all the way backwards right into Godaidu, who wasn't quite able to finish him off, but then Nap spends so much time on the other end of this fight, double dashing his way through, and somehow doesn't die, while the rest of AXZ are just a little bit too scared to walk up, knowing that if they just eat a straight paddle star, that's going to be demise at that low of HP. And it ends up in a stalemate after they pass over that Ocean Drake to AXZ Gaming. And that's going to be a hook onto our friendly Varus there, but has a Thresh to pull him away. Grendel trying to be a little bit cute by throwing down a couple wards on top of that lantern, but not going to keep anyone locked up for too terribly long, as Sleepy Trouble Bubble's going to be, oh my goodness, Arya's just going to delete him for it. That's the trouble you find when you're playing with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and we didn't even get to see how Arya landed that one, but that's just going to be day one obliterated, and Corporal not able to save him. No Mikhail's built just yet, as CGA are going to take that time to pressure down this mid lane turret. They can kind of keep going here for now, as they still have a little bit of time before day one is able to respond. Hoglet's going to be walking forward a little bit, and Nap's going to be picking up the wave on the other end of things here. We will probably have a little while longer of a lull state unless Union ends up finding anyone by himself, but as we are closing out, well, hold that thought, as Union might just be going all in on a Nap. Kick is down, and Slice and Dice I don't think is quite available for Nap yet. There goes the stun, and there goes the cleanse, as the rest of the CGA members are here now. That's going to be a slept Twisted Fate, who just found himself on the wrong end of this fight. That's going to be a slow smite, forcing out the flash from Unica there. And Arya looking to trade a little bit of that damage back. A lot of false starts has kind of been the story of this game, where Godaidu thinks he can get something started there, but then finds a couple members that he wasn't looking for. CGA think they can punish him, and then they find a set that's running full speed at them, and not going to be willing to let them go. As Hex Flash is going to be coming in here from Grendel, not going to find anyone with that just yet, but that's sort of how a lot of these fights are going to be breaking out for AXZ. You want these small skirmishes, but the second any members of CGA show, things start looking bad. It's not too hard to hightail it out of there and just take a couple summoners as your prize. Because Unyon's actually going to be taking the blue buff here away from Garaidu.
65%アクシズウィンと出ていた。
But will help him kind of split push in multiple lanes and use Valor as often as possible to elicit pressure in multiple lanes.
いやただ当たりますからね。
And if Unyon is actually able to play that effectively, there's a lot of lane pressure that Quinn can really dish out. But another Hex Flash opportunity here. Grendel might be looking for an auto attack onto Hoglet. How long can they keep him locked up? It doesn't look like he's going to be able to pull the lantern. He will go down in the end. That's a huge member from AXZ gone. I didn't think he was going to go down there, but enough lockup time. I think he even autoed the blue ward that CGA placed. So good placement from them as Arya's looking for a bit more harass onto the bot lane of AXZ. Garaidu is alone on the bot side. He should be able to pick up this turret, but what will CGA be trading for it is the question at hand. Valor's going to give them a bit of vision of that Baron pit, but they don't exactly have their jungler, which means they don't have a smite to really contest. They're going to need to find a fight win if they want one. Teleport coming back out from Garaidu. He's going to be making his way into this fight, but it's going to be the side of CGA who's starting things off. That's going to be Nap going in deep, but does he have enough healing to get through? It's a 1-for-1 so far. That's going to be 1-for-2 as Day One's finding himself a nice little fight at the end of this. Arya not finding any spells there is going to be really detrimental as CGA are routed now. And this is sort of what we were talking about in Champ Select, where Arya on this Zoe does not offer nearly anything once CGA are forced into their all-in. A good Battlestar is going to chunk out Day One, but he's not exactly too worried until the second one's flying in. Will Arya be able to find another one? Ooh, not quite. As Unica's thinking about a steal opportunity, not going to get the chance. As AXZ are going to turn that one on its head and take the Baron for themselves. And this was... CGA look for the turn here, which I don't disagree with looking for, but look at Arya's position. He's just so far away when the call to have that turn was on. I don't even know if he got an auto attack in there. He might have gotten one onto Thresh there, but by the time that happened, he was just throwing spells that were not all of those shooting stars were just no more than that, as that's going to be an Ocean Drake over to the side of CGA. The Rend is going to pull that one in, and CGA is going to put themselves up to Soul Point. That is going to be their out here. But AXZ Gaming have Baron. This is what they need to try and get as much gold in their pockets before CGA want this Ocean Soul fight. So pushing on multiple lanes as Nap is trying to take a turret on the bottom end of the Nap. He might be able to knock this one down. I don't even think he's going to get it. That's like a half HP turret there, I believe. As he's going to be forced to back away before the members of AXZ show up to get him. Unyon's not going to find him out there, but they end up losing 2 turrets for it. And this game overall has been a bit of a messy one. But AXZ find themselves sitting pretty at a 5k gold advantage. In the wake of the most recent fight, Day One did get a decent amount of gold over to him. 2 of his core items already completed. And now looking to try and build up. It looks like a Bloodthirster. It's going to be next on his menu, which would help kind of sticking through these fights, especially if CGA are to acquire the Ocean Soul. You're going to need that kind of sustain, as that's going to be good. I think just dead here. Gango's actually going to be the one that is turned on. Grendel's going to eat the hook for him, pop the Stone Blade to try and buy enough time, but that's going to be that one turning on its head. I don't even... It's a little bit hard to see how these fights are even breaking up, but there's a sleep. Garaidu's gonna go... Naps, excuse me, I'm all over the place, as Gango's gonna be the one who gets Facebreaker there. Arya's gonna find the trade kill at least. 2 posture there, but the rest of AXZ are pushing down this mid lane. They just opened up an inhibitor in the mid lane in their absence. And that's a 1 for 2 that in a fight that Day One was just not a part of. Oh, I don't know if I can handle another game like the last game where AXZ are just coming so close. And this was actually Godaidu starting things off here. Gango made the call to run just a little bit too early. They could have taken Godaidu before they had to fully retreat, but the fear of the incoming team was enough for Gango to want to back out earlier rather than later. As a sleep lands here onto Hoglet, and Arya just doesn't even queue up a paddle star after Nap makes the call to be going for a turn there. And then at that point, Gango is already too low of HP to really be trying to turn that play around. And Day One completing that Merc Scimitar does add a little bit of extra lifesteal into his MO or into his arsenal, but also gives him a little bit of added security against the likes of Arya and Nap. And you can, oh geez, excuse me. And you can see here that surprisingly, Godaidu has a gold advantage, possibly mostly through his passive, but he's about a half item ahead of Arya at this moment. As most of AXZ Gaming are just holding on to this 6k gold lead for dear life. And we'll see if it's enough, as this Ocean Drake is going to be coming up. 45 seconds on the clock. It's going to be do or die time for CGA here. While losing an Ocean Drake to AXZ is not the end of the world, CGA are likely going to be all in on this one, as Godaidu's going to be teleporting in once again. Here comes Unyan on the flank here. Should be able to knock down Unico with relative ease, but Arya's looking for a trade of damage back, and that's going to be the Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto Unyan. The good snipe from Arya is going to be able to clean that one up, but what will CGA be able to get in the meantime? As Gango goes way too deep without help from his friends, Arya's doing what he can to be the arsenal, or the artillery battery that he so often postures himself, but he just does not have the same damage profile coming out from the rest of his team, as he might be able to duke it out with Godaidu a little bit here, but all Godaidu needs to do is really stall. CGA may have just doomed themselves in this one. Arya's gonna get that kill and then have time to back, but AXZ are already onto the Nexus. Day One is full HP. There's not enough members of CGA to stop them. Will they be able to find it here? They need to put everything on the line right now, as the Nexus is going to about quarter HP. AXZ should be able to win this one. Corporal is doing everything he can to find the autos. They're not going to be able to get it. One hit on the Nexus. And CGA are holding on for dear life. They'll also be able to get the Baron off of this, but they have a lot of worry on their mind. Unyan can fly in and land a couple autos onto this turret. We're zooming in on him because we know it's coming down to him, as well as even if it gets a ward deep in there, Godaidu has teleport available. Two members are over here onto the Ocean Drake, and they're going to try and get that down. There goes Godaidu. He has ultimate already. He's gonna fly in here. They're gonna look for the game end. Will the Nexus go down? It will. AXZ are gonna find a win here over CGA. Oh my gosh, these last two games have been nothing but sheer messes. And AXZ are gonna take that one in the very end. Thank you all again for tuning in. I have been your host of the past 16 games, Dr. No. If you guys have been enjoying my commentary, I apologize if it's been lackluster at the end, but feel free to drop a follow, as I will be covering the rest of the season, and you can expect all of the hype and energy that I can offer for these playoffs as we're cresting into those. Closing out this week on a strong note, AXZ, and I love to see that kind of hustle. I'm going to be ending my stream here, though. Thank you all for tuning in. 16 games over the course of about 18 hours of solid stream. I appreciate and salute you who stuck with me throughout this game. Thank you all again for tuning in. I have been your host, Dr. No, and we'll sign off on that note.